is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, the first direct payments from the president's COVID relief plan are hitting bank accounts. But there are questions about whether President Biden will be able to deliver on two of his new goals: to make every adult eligible to be vaccinated by May 1st and for the country to be closer to normal by the 4th of July. CBS's Nancy Cordes reports tonight from the White House.
Here is one of the first direct payments from the IRS. It popped up in a bank account today. The funds still pending for a couple of days.
We are showing it's possible to get big, important things done.
In the White House Rose Garden, President Biden and a group of socially distanced Democrats celebrated their passage of the law that made those payments possible, the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan.
This legislation includes the biggest investment in child care since World War II. That's not hyperbole, that's just a fact.
Today, governors on the left and right said they can meet Mr. Biden's new directive to make all adults eligible for the vaccine by May 1st, but only if they get more doses.
I think getting to the president's objective is absolutely doable, but it's going to require a significant increase in available supply.
Federal officials say weekly allocations should grow from 16 million doses now to 24 million by early April. White House COVID coordinator Jeff Zients.
The next couple of weeks of supply overall are relatively flat before supply really starts to accelerate towards the end of the month and then into April and into May.
The White House announced it will help states handle the surge by doubling the number of pharmacies in the federal vaccine program to more than 20,000, and by authorizing more qualified professionals to administer the vaccine, including dentists, optometrists, and veterinarians. The IRS says don't be concerned if you don't see a direct payment in your bank account right away, because these payments are going out in batches and paper checks will take a little while longer. But if you want to check the status of your payment, you can go to a new tool on irs.gov called Get My Payment, starting on Monday. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, the White House.
Montana's governor marking 1 year since the COVID-19 virus landed in Montana, saying there's signs that life could be returning to normal in our state. Today, Governor Greg Gianforte said there's reason for optimism as the number of active COVID cases in the state fall to their lowest levels since last summer. Most Montana counties now have fewer than 10 active cases. At a news conference this afternoon, he pointed to wide-ranging impacts of the coronavirus, from more than 1,000 Montanans dying from the virus to how businesses have struggled to stay open.
In Montana, neighbors help neighbors. It's what we do, and it's what we've done during this difficult year. While the light at the end of the tunnel continues to get brighter, our Montana resiliency shines even brighter.
Gianforte also took time to thank healthcare workers and volunteers, and he again urged Montanans to get the COVID-19 vaccine when it's available to them. Well, healthcare workers have been through a lot since the pandemic hit in Billings, and now is a time to reflect. Q2's CHAQUILLE COZART speaks with frontline workers on the week of the anniversary of the first positive case here in Billings.
Community members are asked to step outside and howl tonight, just 1 year after Billings healthcare facilities saw their first COVID-19 cases. And while tonight is a time to reflect on those who have worked tirelessly to keep the community safe, it's also a time to reflect on the challenges that healthcare workers have faced day to day since the pandemic started.
We were actually there when the first positive patient was here and came to the hospital. And it was really scary. I mean, you know, we had PPE, we had plans in place to keep everyone safe, and we had procedures set in place, but actually talking about something and then actually having to do it is a different thing.
There's been a lot of challenges, especially at the beginning when we just had to learn about it, and there's so many different things changing, and it was really tough. But I mean, that's what the ER is there for. We adapted and made it through.
Healthcare workers say that everyone has been affected in different ways by the pandemic, but today is a day that we can remember the hardships and look toward the future.
You know, those of us who have lost loved ones, boy, it'd be hard to say this is a time to celebrate. Those of us that haven't, maybe it is a time of celebration, but I think it's a time of reflection, and that we should all really take that time to reflect on what we've gone through and how we've unified and how well we've done as a community, but then also reflecting on those that have lost loved ones in our community and how we can continue to support them.
Reporting in Billings, I'm CHAQUILLE COZART with MTN News.
As of tonight, there's 952 active cases in the state. That is the lowest number since mid-July of last year. Our death toll due to COVID-19 remains at 1,403. Well, some people are finding that they are still able to get the COVID-19 vaccine, even though their group is not up yet. Those looking for a chance to take the COVID-19 vaccine can walk right into Farm 406 without an appointment. Since last Saturday, the pharmacy has given out 1,000 vaccines. Once a vial of the vaccine is open, it needs to be used in 6 hours. Farm 406 gives it to those not in Phase 1B instead of letting it go to waste.
There's some people that totally don't meet the criteria other than being older than 18. But because we have expiration dates on the vials, it's either use it or waste it. Well, with the shortage of the immunization, or the vaccine, I should say, why waste it? Let's get it in the arms, under the direction of Yellowstone County Health Department, shots in the arm. That's their direction. Don't waste it. And so that's what we're doing.
Farm 406 does not require making an appointment, but does advise calling to find out when during the day it will stop giving the vaccine. Montana schools are getting a huge chunk of money from the COVID-19 relief bill. The Montana Office of Public Instruction says about $382 million will be used to address learning loss during the pandemic. That means things like summer school learning, after-school programs, and other efforts. It also includes about $10 million to the state and money to help homeless students. Each district decides where that money goes. Rocky Mountain College plans to go forward with spring graduation, with school officials announcing that students will walk for their diplomas in person. There's a catch, however. The ceremony will take place in person for students and staff, but friends and family will have to attend the ceremony by viewing it on a live stream. Graduation is slated for April 17th. The city of Minneapolis agreed today to settle a civil lawsuit from the family of George Floyd for $27 million. Floyd's shocking Memorial Day death under the knee of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin sparked outrage, setting off a summer of nationwide protests and a global reckoning on racial justice. Chauvin's criminal trial set to begin at the end of the month.
The settlement is not just historic because of the $27 million paid out, but for the impact on social justice, policy reforms, and police reforms.
One of George Floyd's brothers said he would gladly give the settlement back if he could get his brother back, and thank those who spoke out in his name. All right, time for a first check of the weather from Ed McIntosh. And Ed, our weather looking pretty good for the weekend. Not so great for some of our neighbors, though.
That's for sure. As we even look into a lot of the southern plains and in portions of the Midwest, they're dealing with thunderstorm activity tonight, anywhere from Oklahoma City all the way over as we start looking towards Kentucky. But it's this low that we're really going to be watching. We've been talking about it for the last few days, and it's worth talking about because it's going to be a very strong storm system as it continues to move in around Denver, and then especially north areas around Cheyenne, Wheatland, all the way up towards Casper. We could be talking about feet of snow there, likely have big impacts on travel, and it will also possibly affect areas as far north as Sheridan County, Wyoming, where we could see several inches of snow into the Bighorns, maybe even 1 to 2 around Sheridan. Just depends on how much of that will wash over. Take a closer look at our weekend forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Thanks, Ed. Some flights between Billings and Denver could be canceled this weekend because of that big storm to our south. According to the Denver Airport website, flight cancellations are expected because of the forecast of heavy wet snow and strong winds starting early tomorrow. There's no word yet on Frontier Airlines' scheduled flights for Saturday. United Airlines has 8 scheduled flights each day between Billings and Denver. The late Saturday flights from Billings will likely be canceled.
Everything will fly out tonight, come in tonight, go out tomorrow morning. During the day, it'll be kind of hit and miss depending on how the weather hits Denver. And then at the moment right now, they still have I think they've canceled their night the evening flights coming into Billings, so there probably won't be any flights going out in the morning on Sunday.
Plone advises to check with the airlines to find out about possible cancellations this weekend. Well, a few weeks ago, we introduced you to the two newest additions to Zoo Montana. The two red pandas just arrived in town from the Oregon Zoo in Portland. Pabu, given the title the Prince of Pounce, and his mother, Mimi, will undergo a 30-day quarantine before joining Zoo Montana's current red panda, Dooley, in the outdoor habitat. Dooley's been living alone since the death of his partner, Daisy, from cancer last October. For now, people can support the zoo by purchasing items on the animal's wish list, including snacks and playthings. And Zoo Montana will be tracking the transfer of the new red pandas on its Facebook and Instagram pages. Ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, a bit of a delay, but the Grammys will go on, and you can watch them on CBS this Sunday. We'll take a look at what's ahead for the big show, and a pretty good show going on here in Montana as high school basketball teams battle for a chance to play in the state championship. All the highlights on the way.